It's very early in the morning here in Auckland City, but I don't really care. I just had the most amazing 100k drive into the city in what has got to be one of my new favourite electric vehicles, the Porsche Taycan Turbo. Now, I know there's a lot of debate around, you know, Model S versus Taycan, and the Taycan's more expensive, but I'm here to tell you this car, it all doesn't matter. This thing just blows you out of the water, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Let's go have a look at some of the details. So what is the Taycan like to drive? Well, as I gushed in the introduction, amazing. I mean, it's electric, it's brutally fast. I mean, okay, so Teslas can do that too. I mean, this thing here, the Turbo, has 500 kilowatts of output through the motors on overboost and up to 850 newton meters of torque. This thing will snap your head back even without putting it in launch mode. And when you do put it in launch mode, you'll go 0 to 100 in about 3.2 seconds. Get the S model and that comes down to 2.8 seconds. So that's just nuts. There's also a 2-speed transmission in the Taycan that Porsche's put in there to make it more efficient both with power and of course energy use. Now that's only half the story really, because as I said, there are other electric cars out there that are brutally quick off the line. Where the Taycan has it that others I don't think necessarily have it right is the way it handles. This thing, there are a few corners in New Zealand where a good driver couldn't get through them at 100 kilometers an hour. It just grips like a limpet, and it feels so amazingly balanced and smooth and lovely. It's just brilliant and grin-inducing to drive. This thing corners so well, I swear I had sore ribs by the time I got home last night after my 100k drive through some fairly twisty roads, just from bracing the lateral G's that were going through me as I drove along. It's that good, and that's where other cars don't necessarily quite have that balance. It feels like a Porsche, I guess. It feels just sweet to drive. If there's a little bit of a niggle there at the steering, possibly not quite as engaging as some of the petrol sports cars out there, but I think
can I help you?
Porsche likes to talk back to you sometimes, but I think that comes down to the all-wheel drive system, and just it's barely noticeable. The car is so good, you're not really going to care. Any other niggles with the car? I mean, look, it is expensive. This one here, and I'll put the price on the screen, is nearing $300,000. You can go well over that with the with the Turbo S, but it's not exactly bad value in the scheme of other supercars out there and hypercars. I mean, this has near on hypercar performance, let alone supercar performance. The only other thing I'd suggest is I love this interior. I think it's really well laid out. It looks really good, but it possibly could be seen as a little bit uninspiring for such a special car. That may partially be down to the fact that this particular model here, and it's nearly 2 meters wide, so I've got to squeeze it through this city gap, has been done out in all black, and I think that's a really cool style, but perhaps some little more texture into the interior on this particular car might have been nice. So in summary, the Porsche Taycan, is it up to the hype? I think it is. There is no car on planet Earth that drives this well and is probably as quick point to point that you can walk into a showroom and buy. I just think for their first electric vehicle have absolutely nailed it, and I'm really excited to see where brands like Porsche and other sports car makers can take electric vehicle propulsion in the future.